Of late, there's been a lot of hype surrounding Huawei's new budget offering, the Honor 6X, aka the swag phone. With Xiaomi, Samsung, and Leeco dominating the price segment, can the Honor 6X do something to make it stand apart from the crowd? Let's find out. Hey, this is Sundar from C4E Tech, and this is my full review of the Huawei Honor 6X. Let's roll. With regards to the build, quite a few things have changed since the Honor 5X. The brushed metal and the dotted texture to the back have been replaced, a single hybrid slot replaces two dedicated slots, and of course we have an additional camera for the dual camera setup. Note that the camera module does still stick out. Below that we can find the fingerprint sensor. In my time with it, it worked well. I had absolutely no issues. It was really fast and accurate and probably holds up to Honor's claim of it scanning fingerprints in just 0.3 seconds. There are plastic inserts at the top and the bottom for better reception, and clearly it pays off. I've had no issues with phone calls whatsoever. To the front, there's a 5.5-inch Full HD LTPS IPS LCD display with a pixel density of about 400 pixels per inch. This is one thing that caught my eye. The display is surprisingly good for a budget phone. Natural colors and excellent viewing angles. It managed to perform well outdoors under sunlight, so it gets points for sunlight legibility too. Additionally, you can also change the color temperature, and for extra comfort, there's an aptly named Eye Comfort mode that adds to the warmth of the display to help reduce eye strain. Above this display, there's the earpiece, an 8-megapixel selfie camera, the proximity and ambient light sensors. Others like the gyroscope and accelerometer are also present inside. The gyroscope kinda troubled me while I used this with a VR headset. Even when I was steady, the scenes were portrayed as if I were shaking my head. That said, it's still better than having no gyroscope sensor at all. And while it's nice to see a 3.5mm headphone jack in a 2017 phone, the audio quality is something I was disappointed with. I used the same pair of headphones with the 6X and the Redmi Note 3, and both the quality and the audio levels were noticeably better with the Note 3. For some reason, Honor is still obsessed with micro USB, but most brands seem to be at this segment, so I'm not exactly calling it a con. Beside the micro USB port, there's the loudspeaker. The output level's decent, nothing worth mentioning there. Overall, I find the design to be inviting. The display is covered by a 2.5D glass, the screen-to-body ratio is reasonable at about 72%, the button placements are fine. They're all found to the right and the sides are curved. All these offer a premium feel and help with single-handed usage. Long story short, the design is great. It gets a huge thumbs up from me. Moving on to what's inside, the HiSilicon Kirin 655 SoC is at the heart of the 6X. It consists of two sets of 4 Cortex A53 cores, one set clocked at 2.1 GHz and the other clocked at 1.6 GHz. These are low-powered cores, so I didn't go in expecting the phone to perform wonders, but it surprised me with its performance under day-to-day usage scenarios. There is noticeable throttle with heavy usage, but not enough to complain given the price. The Mali T830 MP2 GPU had absolutely no issues running light games. I've been playing a lot of them and the experience was great. With heavy titles like Asphalt Extreme, there are occasional stutters and frame drops. Overall though, the experience was definitely above average for the segment. This Honor 6X has 4 gigs of RAM and the memory management was great. Doesn't reload apps even if there are a lot of them in the background. I can't comment on the 3 gig RAM variant since I didn't get to test one, but I expect it to be good enough for regular usage. While whatever we've seen till now may also be found on a few other devices, what really tries to justify the swag part is the dual camera setup to the rear. Note that this is not a monochrome RGB sensor combination. The 6X rather uses the 12-megapixel primary camera for shooting pictures and the 2-megapixel secondary camera for collecting depth information. This results in photos having the subject stand apart by blurring out the background. We've seen a similar implementation in the likes of the HTC One M8 and the Redmi Pro. The process is quite simple. Additionally, you can also change the aperture and the point of focus after clicking the picture. The results are quite good. Here are some samples. The 12-megapixel camera excels outdoors under bright light. The images are well exposed, The color reproduction is good with high detail levels. The dynamic range is satisfactory, gets a tad better with the HDR mode. Indoors, there's a bit of software sharpening on the images, and it also takes about 2 seconds before the 6X lets us click another picture. But the quality doesn't take a huge hit. The color representation is good, and there's adequate detail. Under low light, there is quite a bit of noise, but I was still surprised with its above average performance. I hadn't seen the spec sheet until then, and later when I did that, I learned that the primary camera has a moderately large 1x2.9 inch sensor and 1.25 micron sized pixels, hence more light being let in, leading to better, brighter images. The 8-megapixel front-facing camera performs well in most lighting conditions. The pictures are sharp with good detail levels and color reproduction. The selfie flash helps to a certain extent under low light. The Honor 6X is capable of shooting 1080p videos at 30 frames per second. And the quality is tolerable. They are quite sharp with decent color reproduction. Artifacts do pop up from time to time, but overall, the footage seems fine. The autofocus on this phone isn't the fastest we have seen, but it gets the job done. The camera UI is pretty much the same as what we've seen on the Honor 8. Swipe right for different modes. Speaking of which, there are a lot of modes including a Pro mode for manual controls. Here's a quick side-by-side comparison worth seeing. You can find the camera settings by swiping left, and the filters and the dual camera mode can be found at the top. Moving on, the Honor 6X runs on EMUI 4.1 based on Android 6.0 Marshmallow, although an official update to Android 7.0 Nougat is on its way. Just like phones from most other Chinese brands, the 6X doesn't have an app drawer. The quick settings and notifications are found on separate panels. This may not be something you'd prefer. There's a lot of bloatware, but fortunately, most of them can be uninstalled. There's also a huge collection of first-party apps that I never found myself using. That said, there's room for a lot of customization. While the phone doesn't have capacitive keys, it allows you to configure the on-screen buttons the way you want. Features like flip to mute and quick calling aren't gimmicky. They are ones that I've actually been using frequently. Marshmallow's own features like multiple users and permissions are also available. There's even a health app for basic fitness tracking. There's a whole big section for battery management. Speaking of which, the Honor 6X has another USP, the battery life. It's got a 3340 mAh battery. It sure doesn't sound much, but the Kirin 655 SoC is fabricated using the 16nm FinFET process, which makes it extremely power efficient, thereby achieving an amazing battery life. The phone also manages to keep its temperatures in check even while running the most intensive of tasks. With my regular day-to-day usage, which includes 2 to 3 hours of daily social media dosage, 30 minutes of video streaming, some browsing, a lot of light gaming, an hour of phone calls and streaming music via Bluetooth, all with the phone either on Wi-Fi or mobile data while using 2 SIM cards, I ended every day with 30 to 40% fuel left. Additionally, by using the camera for long periods of time and playing heavy titles such as Asphalt Extreme, I could still get through the day with about a little left in the tank. I'm certainly impressed. Let's now talk price. The 332 variant of the 6X is priced at $1299 rupees or $250. Wait a minute, doesn't $250 translate to 17,000 rupees? Yes, it does. This is one of those very few times when a phone's actually cheaper in India. Hell, for 16,000 rupees you could get the 464 variant, which I don't think is sold in the US. Anyway, at this price, with an admirable design, good performance, a competent camera, and brilliant battery life, I'd say Honor has put together a compelling device. That said, these days competition is intense. The cool one that I reviewed a little while back provides better performance at a price tag that's a tad higher. While I would rate the Honor 6X over the Redmi Note 3, the new Note 4 is just in and we are in the process of testing it. If you want us to do a dedicated comparison with any other device in this segment, let us know in the comments below. For now, the Honor 6X is a great offering from Huawei that you could consider if you were in the market for a phone in this price segment. Hit thumbs up if you agree with my 2 cents on the Honor 6X, or vote it down if you don't, and make sure to subscribe for more videos like this. Also do this to get notified whenever a new video goes live here on C4E Tech. Thanks a lot for watching. This is Sundar from C4E Tech, leaving for the moment. Have a great day.